In this lesson, we're going to talk about British work emails. We're going to talk about what British people say versus what they actually mean. Well, I suppose what they actually type. Now, I've been a teacher for nearly 15 years, and in all that time, I've taught thousands of students from across the world, and many of them are interested in learning business English. And of course, a major part of that is writing emails, which is something that we're going to really focus on today. Hello, welcome to English Right Now, by the way. My name is Roy. It is a pleasure to meet you. And let me know in the comments below if you are learning English for work purposes, or if you live in the UK, or just say hello. It's lovely to meet you. So if you do have any questions about British emails or British work emails or even business English, then please do let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your questions. We can answer them in a future lesson. Now, there's a lot to talk about in terms of British work emails. This lesson will focus a lot on what you will read versus what the person is actually trying to say. And at the end of the lesson, I may tell you something that's quite surprising related to ending an email, something that you may find really, really intriguing. But let's talk about a few major points first of all. In terms of the tone of an email, with British work emails, a lot of students, they tend to want to make them formal or even overly formal. Now, on initial contact, maybe there could be an element of formality using something like "Dear Sir," but after that, once initial contact's made, a lot of people just start emails with words like hello, hi, good morning, good evening, these kind of things, good afternoon. It's perfectly normal. In fact, it encourages a kind of friendlier tone in the email. And overall, I would say most people, most British people, like that kind of friendliness. And likewise, a student on my course about British culture asked about receiving emails saying things like, I hope you're well. I hope you had a nice weekend. I hope the project's going okay. He asked me, number one, do I need to respond to these? And number two, do I need to include them in my replies? So, first of all, no, you don't really need to reply to them. They're not genuine questions. They're not asking, are you okay? Did everything go okay with this? There's no question mark there. It's a, I hope you're okay. But what I would say is when you reply to that person, especially for the first time, I would also reply something like that, like, I hope you're well. I hope you're okay. It keeps the tone friendly. In general, British work emails that aren't really about complaints or problems, they'll tend to be quite friendly. Maybe the initial one, the initial contact with somebody you don't know, then yes, you would make it slightly more formal, but not overly formal. British emails, a lot of things that you read in British emails, they tend to be quite polite, or on surface level, they tend to seem quite polite. But there's a lot about not overstepping, not demanding. Now, we need to bear in mind that when we're talking about culture in the UK, a lot of it centers around saving face. And we can talk about this in another lesson, but saving face is basically the idea not doing something that would cause embarrassment for us or another person, which in turn could later on cause us embarrassment. In other words, a lot of these emails, they won't be too demanding or they won't be too direct when asking you to do something, and that's what we're actually focusing on. Now we're going to look at some things that you may read in British emails which have a kind of subtext. If a manager sends you something like, just wondering if you've managed to do something, or just wondering if this is finished, just wondering if. This sounds really friendly, but actually, if they're asking you, just wondering if you've managed to do it yet, it's actually saying this should be done by now. Would you mind is a polite way of telling somebody to do it. Now, I know this can sound quite surprising for some students, the idea of a boss saying, oh, would you mind, as if it's a favor, but this is just a politer way of saying, do it. So if a boss said to me, would you mind doing this? I will do it. If you read the word as per my last email, this is basically saying, I've already told you this. I've already told you this. Please read it properly this time. I have used this one. When I feel that my point has not been understood, I will say, as per my last email, and then basically repeat the same point. This is quite a passive-aggressive thing, if I'm honest. A passive-aggressive way of saying, I meant what I said, now read it properly. Just to clarify, is basically saying you have misunderstood something quite basic. If I misunderstand something and I see the words just to clarify, I will understand that I have taken something in the wrong way and that I should have understood it better. I'm not sure if you saw my last email. This is one I've used a lot. This is basically saying, you're clearly ignoring me and I'm getting a bit annoyed. So sometimes we know that somebody has read the email, or we definitely feel that somebody has read the email. Sometimes you can get notifications when an email has been read, and I would still write this, even though I am 100% sure you have read the email. This is to basically give the person the opportunity to go, oh, I'm really sorry, I did read it, but I was just checking something with somebody. While it does look like it's giving somebody the opportunity to apologize and make amends, it is an indirect accusation that you're not responding quick enough, or that you have ignored my email. I've used this quite a bit. Another alternative to this would be, maybe my email went into your junk folder. This is another classic. It's basically saying, you probably received it, but let's give you the benefit of the doubt. This is what a lot of it's about. And it's about saving face again, not coming into direct conflict, which in turn could blow back on us. With all due respect to 4 of the most dangerous words you could ever read in an email, this is basically saying, I completely disagree with you, but I'm going to be polite about it. Or, I think you're a bit of an idiot, but I'm going to be polite. With all due respect, I don't think this is quite right. And notice that I said, I don't think this is quite right. We don't say this is wrong. We say we don't think it's quite right. We use a lot of indirect language to soften the blow. So it doesn't look like we're making a direct accusation, even though technically we are, because that's the subtext of the language. If a boss or a manager ends an email with thanks in advance, it's basically saying, you've got no choice. This is now what I expect you to do. Thanks in advance is already thanking you for something that you now have to do. Just looping you in. These are 4 words that I actually dread seeing in emails. Just looping you in basically means you're now being included in a conversation. So, okay, that could be great, just looping you in. But it's usually when it's a bit of a mess. It's kind of saying you're now part of this mess or this problem, whether you like it or not. I have no choice. I have now been added to a situation which could be quite a bit of a mess or just pure chaos, to be honest. Happy to discuss further can be quite a passive-aggressive comment to make. And it's basically saying, I'm ready to argue the point if you are. So I will tell you my opinion on X, Y, and Z. Happy to discuss it further. This especially comes when it's coming from a manager or a boss. They are not really happy to discuss it further. They want you to just take their point. If you see the words, I was under the impression, quite commonly, British people are actually saying, you've done something wrong. Rather than outright blaming somebody or saying that somebody got something wrong, it's almost like we're making it about us, like we're wondering if we've got it wrong. And again, it's this idea of saving face. We're giving that other person that opportunity to say, oh, no, it was absolutely me, I made the mistake. So in short, you're giving another person the opportunity to apologize and accept they've made a mistake. So if you see the words, I was under the impression, they probably think you've got something wrong, or they probably feel misled. If somebody's talking about something you've done, maybe a piece of work that you've produced, and then you see an alternative way of doing it that starts off with the words, going forward, we're going to do it like this, it basically means you've done it wrong. And this is how you're going to do it from now on. And if you do know any others that should be on this list, please do let me know in the comments below. And before we move on to that surprising thing about the ending of emails, I'm going to tell you one that I absolutely 100% dread. I'll let you take it from here. I'll let you take it from here. If somebody says, I'll let you take it from here, they are passing the responsibility over to you. And quite often, if they're saying, I'll let you take it from here, it's probably a problematic situation. Short, they're saying, this is now your problem. It's not mine anymore. I'll let you take it from here. This makes it sound like they trust you with the responsibility, but probably they're just trying to get rid of it, if I'm totally honest. I'll let you take it from here. At the start of this lesson, I promised you something quite surprising about ending emails. We've talked about things like saving face, and also that sometimes British people can be quite passive-aggressive with things that they write. One thing that British people do write at the end of emails are the words kind regards. This is a fairly standard sign-off. However, sometimes people will just write the words regards. A lot of British people will think that they have upset you if you reduce the words kind regards to just regards. There are quite a few memes about this, in fact. You know you've upset somebody when they change from kind regards to just regards. So be careful when signing off that email. Remember to say kind regards instead of regards, or a British person may take that wrong. And as well, if a British person does write the words regards instead of kind regards, then they may actually be upset with you. And it could be a passive-aggressive way to say that they are annoyed. One thing that's really important in the British workplace is politeness and gratitude. If you want to learn 45 amazing ways to say thank you, 45 amazing alternatives to thank you, check out this lesson. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson.